Welcome to the 7997 podcast. We are your hosts, Chris and my lovely wife, Jackie.
Hello.
And as always, we are here trying to get closer to each other and closer to you.
Without killing each other.
Again, that's not part of the deal.
What?
We might have to take each other out at one point. You never know.
I'm weak.
Anyway. You never know what the Lord might ask you to do.
What? Oh, that's not right.
Ask Abraham about Isaac. Thank you.
I don't know what just happened, guys.
As we let the loud truck pass by in the
I
background.
was just thinking maybe a little black eye or two.
Dang, fighting that much?
But you supposed sacrificing.
I'm just
I
saying.
ain't messing with you. Hurry up because Mexico's about to Mexico.
Well, we're coming to you live from the terraza on the first floor.
Right.
So you go and get some of this Mexico in the background. Enjoy it.
You're welcome.
It is a hot summer.
Oh, man.
I mean, is it even summer? I think it's still spring, but this is the hottest time of the year here in San Miguel.
Yeah.
And it's been, I think we got to 99 degrees today.
Yes.
So we are out of the hot house into some fresh air. We got the incense burning.
Hey.
There's some chimes off in the distance. I guess
Yeah.
someone else has wind chimes other than us.
Uh-huh.
You know,
That's
we have
funny,
two on our terraza.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to what we're talking about this week, which is
San Miguel
the
de
Mexico
Allende.
Relocation.
God.
You done singing? You're good?
Oh.
Okay.
I was excited.
I see you're excited. Let's hold on to that excitement.
Calamate, Jackie.
That's, no, don't. It's okay. It's fine.
Continue introing.
Yes. The Mexico Relocation Guide has voted San Miguel as the #1 city to relocate to in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of their video, they did ask for a little shout out to say, hey, if you agree, if you disagree, go ahead and share your opinion. So here we are. We're going to share our opinions. And this also does coincide with a video that we're actually doing with the Mexico Relocation Guide. We were interviewed with them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have links to the guide itself in the description, as well as links to our video with the Mexico Relocation Guide, so you guys can check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Great resource. Can't say enough about it. It made our move to Mexico extremely easy.
We actually used it.
We are
used it.
not only
What is it? We're not only the hair club president.
Yeah.
But
we don't own or represent the Mexico
but I use the
Relocation Guide,
product
but we
too.
are clients of it and can vouch for it.
Yeah, it's true.
So as they were going through, we won't necessarily say what is the best city in Mexico to relocate to because we have not had that much experience with all of the cities throughout the country to even give that. But we will give our perspective on San Miguel as being the #1 city.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought up a lot of great points, a lot of things that we kind of think about. When we talk about San Miguel, I will say point number one I think they brought up was the cost of living. And when they spoke about cost of living, they said around $3,000 a month U.S. is good enough to live comfortably in San Miguel.
As a couple.
What is your opinion on that number? Is it high? Is it low? Is it livable? Because people tend to think that San Miguel is really expensive, which it can be. But what's your opinion on that $3,000 a month price point?
I think it's a generous budget.
Yeah.
Because most of us do not have, let's just say, a $1,500 rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just putting that at, let's just say $1,500, especially coming from the States. $1,500 is a deal.
Yeah.
A steal, right?
Yeah.
So you come here, you're like, ooh, I can get this big old house or this lavish, apartment, townhouse or whatever for $1,500. But most of us will come and be like, you know what, I can afford that, but you know what, I actually can live just as nicely in an $800 or $900 a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I won't say that most of us come down here and have that mindset.
You don't think
to save
so?
money. I don't know.
No. I'm saying once they get here.
Right.
Like,
when you first come down, I think you see $1,500 and see what you can get
want to go for that.
You want to go ahead and spend that $1,500. I think that's definitely our mindset when we first came down.
Yeah.
But now that we've been here for a while, we do understand, different neighborhoods. You don't have to be in the most trendy neighborhood.
Right.
That's the closest to downtown. Like San Miguel is really small. You're never really that far away from anything.
Right.
Especially if you come down with a car, like you can live anywhere. It's no problem.
Right.
So thinking about, ourselves, we did start off at assuming we would be paying around $1,500 a month, but then found, much better things, and neighborhoods that were maybe one neighborhood away from the trendy neighborhood that was $800 to $900 a month,
right?
And it gets even cheaper than that if you
if you really want to, right? Instead of having
due
3
diligence.
bedrooms, you can do a 2-bedroom or what have you, right?
Right.
Or like you said, go to another neighborhood. We say gringo, they say gringos here, but we say expats or immigrants, right? So there are a couple of neighborhoods where you will see a lot of expats and immigrants. That's your San Antonio, that's your Guadalupe? And of course downtown Central too, Centro Histórico.
Yeah.
But back to the budget part though, the money aspect, once you realize, okay, I really can have a domicile for less than $1,000 US.
A domicile?
I'm just trying
When do you ever call it? You just trying to sound smart now?
just trying to sound cute.
Okay.
Can you let me?
I'm sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thanks. For $1,000 or less, and then you tack on your electric bill is going to be $5 to $10.
Yeah.
Water bill $5 to $10. Having your gear phones delivered. That's your drinking water. That's $10 for the month.
Yeah.
So once you start with the biggest one, and then the other ones really are their drops in buckets, especially to the American psyche.
Yeah.
I think the most expensive utility we have is our internet.
Internet, really, yeah.
Right. So internet, and then you throw in, because you are going to go out to eat. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Period, point blank and simple.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you're going to find some place to go eat. That's going to tick your budget up. And then, like a lot of us don't have cars. Some do, but many of us don't. So then we need to factor in Uber.
Yeah, Ubers and taxis.
Ubers and taxis.
Yeah, and if you're a walker, then you can do a whole lot of walking and not have to pay for transportation. I will say if you happen to have a car here, I don't know from personal experience, but I would have to imagine the upkeep on your car.
It's a man down.
It would have to be ridiculous. Like all the streets are cobblestones. There are no stoplights. Like there's 1 or 2 stoplights in the city as a whole for the most part. The rest of it is really gauged by stop signs or speed bumps. So like you're just constantly, every street you go on is going to have tons of speed bumps. Your shocks and your tires are going to have
it's
a
a
bad
situation
day
every day.
So I have
That's
to
true.
imagine upkeep on the car is very expensive. And I think gasoline is a little bit more expensive down here as well. So, all in all, once you kind of pay for your rent, a lot of the other utilities really aren't much to pay for, particularly coming from more expensive countries. And even as you're looking at places around here, you start looking at, okay, I can get something that includes utilities.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. And that's
sometimes
fully,
it's not even a good deal to include the utilities.
Oh, really?
Because, maybe with utilities is an extra, like $100, $200. But without it, like your utilities would never cost that much.
Never be that much, right?
Yeah.
It just sounds good.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it's a convenience factor.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, we're even talking about $800 to $900 a month for rent. It could be fully furnished.
Yes.
Down to the spoons and forks.
Exactly.
Literally.
Because you'll find a lot of people who maybe started out as an Airbnb and just, weren't being successful at it or didn't like that constant upkeep of an Airbnb and decide to switch over to long-term rentals.
Long-term rentals, yep.
So it's really set up like an Airbnb, but it is a long-term rental. Yeah.
Yep. Don't have to buy anything. Sheets, everything are provided.
Yeah.
So it really can be so cost effective. You just buy the things that you want to make yourself comfortable. So yeah, I think 3,000. Mariana's number was maybe a little higher, but that also could be for another demographic too.
Yeah, I mean it's a place where you can spend a lot if you want to, or you can spend less if you want.
Correct.
Everything here is not inexpensive. Like you may go to other cities in Mexico where everything just is inexpensive. You can't spend a whole lot of money if you wanted to. That is not this place. If you want to spend 50, 60,000 pesos a month, you can do that easily. So that $3,000 a month in that budget could pay for just the rent. You would have an outstanding place for sure.
Living like a...
But you don't have to pay that much.
You don't have to. And literally to be very comfortable.
Yeah.
Like when Mona came to visit, I told her the cost and everything, and she was like, so you all were about to be across the street for double the price. And now you over here half the price.
Yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is she was really trying to compute in her head, normally when you're saving that kind of money where you live, you're looking for squalor.
Yeah.
You're looking for you're really looking for danger.
Yeah.
You listen now for some gunshots. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, really, you're looking around for trash. You're looking around something to denote that this is less than.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about here. Like, you really have options.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I'm
even
saying?
like the community we live in, you can say on some points it is less than. It is less convenient. The house we were going to get was in a neighborhood called San Antonio, very popular neighborhood. It happened to be an architect designed house. It was gorgeous, beautiful. But space wise, it's the same amount of space that we have in this house. This one is not, special architect build. It's, very similar to other houses next to it. It's not a unique piece of real estate, but it's in a neighborhood that just has less conveniences. There isn't 3 to 4 bakeries here. There isn't 3 to 4 fruiterias around every corner. Like it's
across the highway.
It's across the highway. So like there is small differences here, but if you are a walker, even a little bit, we can go around the corner and up the hill and get all the shopping we need. Meat market, fruit market,
the little footpath takes you right into San Antonio.
Right, so you can go literally up under the highway and get into San Antonio anyway within 5 minutes. So
I don't know how fast he walking, y'all, but it took me 11, 13 last time I clocked it. But continue.
11 or 13, please. Enjoy your extra 6 or 7 minutes.
Yo, I'm just looking cobbled. You got
to add some time for cobble.
I'm telling you, it's not the distance, it's the terrain. Are you kidding me? Shoot, walk fast if you wanna. But seriously, it's just knowing that you can save half.
Yeah.
And just so y'all know, our rent was it $850? Was it $900?
It's 15,000 pesos, which right around like $850, $875, I think, with the exchange rate right now. So obviously with the exchange rate, it's going to fluctuate a little bit, but it's inexpensive by a lot of standards.
3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, inner courtyard, rooftop terrace, full view of the city.
Yeah. Air conditioning in the bedroom, so you can at least sleep comfortably at night.
Y'all, thank the Lord for
do wish it was in every other room, but
thank God for that sleep
at least it's
time.
in the bedroom.
What?
Yeah,
that's true. So we have air conditioning too, fully furnished.
Yeah.
And the only modern convenience we don't have is a dryer, but we don't need it. Like literally.
Yeah. Mexican sunshine will dry your clothes in 5 minutes.
We take that little load of clothes up to that roof and it dries. So like that's the only modern convenience we don't have.
Yeah.
Maybe in a dishwasher, but I digress. But we really don't miss the dryer.
Yeah.
So very affordable. So absolutely check mark on that one. They got that one right.
So one that I do want to bring up that I think they did not get quite right is that they said San Miguel is walkable for people with mobility issues. Now, I'm going to agree and disagree on this one.
Only certain communities. You think?
Only certain communities. It is a tough walk in certain places. If you live right downtown in Central Historical and you don't leave that area, you might be okay. Depending if you take the right street.
But a hill will pop up on you in a minute.
It will.
That's the biggest thing. Like literally, a hill will pop up.
Yeah.
And it could be a man down.
Yeah. And I will say, even though it is a tough city to walk through, I see very many retirees who are not in tip-top physical condition braving these streets every day. I also
their
see
ski poles.
abuelas who have probably been here their entire lives who out with a cane and they're just working up and down the street.
That's true.
Granted, they're probably more used to it than we are. So even though I feel like it's not so walkable, people are doing it.
Right. You can survive.
Yeah.
But there is no ease necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't say that to anybody.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind too, a lot of Mexico has higher elevations.
Yeah.
So if you have heart conditions, you have to consider that. And then if you have anything that's hindering your walking, you have to consider not only the hills, but specifically for San Miguel, it is cobbled. So, just crossing the street. That's it.
Yeah.
You could be a man down.
And then on top of that, the air quality here isn't the greatest.
It's not as bad as Mexico City, though, right?
No, not as bad as Mexico City for
sometimes
sure.
it can be a little.
But we do have a lot of brush fryers here, just naturally.
Yeah.
As well as car emission standards are different in Mexico, so I don't think the mufflers are as good on cars, and the streets can be pretty packed with a lot of cars at times. So you'll get a lot of just smoke and really different kinds of smoke in the air.
Every now and then
particulates.
there definitely are
and it's really dry,
smoggy days. Yeah.
Right, and you add that to the elevation. If you have asthma, breathing issues, really heavy allergies
That
to
could
like
be
dust and
problem.
things like that, it could be problematic.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So something
Think about
obviously,
that.
if you're ever thinking about relocating or coming down to visit, like just come down, check it out for a little while, see how your system reacts to being at this elevation.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
Another thing that they brought up is that there is the idea that it's too American, but there also is a great feeling of Mexican authenticity here. And I think there's always this balance in San Miguel of, is it too American? Is it too tailored to tourists? But also, when Mexicans want to come have traditional festivals, religious festivals,
they roll up deep.
This is the destination.
What?
So how tailored to Americans can it be?
Right.
If this is still the destination for locals to come to have their traditional celebration.
Right.
And there are literally, every neighborhood around town has parades and fireworks and festivals. This past week, they've had festivals in Valle de Maíz, shooting off fireworks every night. Like, this is
so
still
pretty.
very much a Mexican town infused with the Mexican culture. And, as much as there are people from around the world here, they have not overshadowed the local culture,
Absolutely
in my
not.
opinion.
I don't see the Americanization of it. Meaning I guess we're saying Western, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking fast food, we're talking Starbuckses, we're talking gyms, right? Those things. Well, I mean, there are a couple of gyms, yeah. There is one Starbucks in San Miguel.
And one McDonald's.
One McDonald's.
And
one Burger King.
Yeah.
One Domino's.
Yeah.
One Little Caesars.
And
one Pizza Hut.
The way that the local community has reacted to the Little Caesars coming, I can't even say that's an American thing, because in America, Little Caesars is not.
It's not the jam.
It's not the jam.
Yeah, right.
But here they are literally lined up around the block for Little Caesars.
Yeah.
I think it's terrible pizza.
Well, I don't agree with him on that, but we definitely don't be lined up. It's not number one, I don't think, in the U.S.
So, a view into what we're working on, we are looking at doing a separate channel for just food reviews locally within San Miguel. And we are planning to do a video on what's the best pizza in town. So I will ask you on the spot now, in that list of restaurants we will be visiting, is Little Caesars on that list of best pizzas in San Miguel? Would you put that on your list to go check out and possibly see if it could compare to the likes of Pizzeria Esme or La Fabulosa or Neapolitan?
No.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? We couldn't hear you. Could you speak directly into the microphone?
Let's go back to what you were saying, though. It is not, to me, it's not Americanized terribly or terribly westernized. In my opinion. And this is so crazy. So, like, for example, the fanciest grocery store I've ever been to has been here.
Yeah.
Did they model that after something? I don't know necessarily what the standard 100% is westernized. You understand what I'm saying? But what I do know is that every neighborhood I've been to, there have been no less than 2 Mexican bakeries on one block.
Yeah.
There is a fruiteria. There are going to be taco stands. There are going to be your carnitas, spots. And it is very Mexican here. It is very, very Mexican here.
Yeah.
Folks knock on the door selling honey.
Yeah.
I don't get that kind of treatment at home.
No.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody dropped off the little honey bear at my house. But I mean, to me, it is very Mexican here. And I guess the only way I can say it too, they're Western comforts. So there are the big box stores. We don't technically have a Walmart, but we have a La Comer, and we have a City Market, and we have Soriana. There's a Liverpool, which is like a Macy's, right? Or a really, really nice JCPenney or whatever.
Yeah.
So we have box stores, but it is not overly Americanized here.
Yeah, and I
In
think
my humble opinion.
what people tend to react to is the language of English being on many restaurants' menu, right? So
Okay.
the menu, like they have two versions, or you can flip it over and there's
That's
English
true.
on the back. A lot of places have people that speak English that work there, so that it is comfortable for you if you speak English to come here.
Yeah.
But
But I don't think that's Americanized. I think that's just knowing your audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I bet you if you go, was it Northwest DC, where Gallaudet, you're going to find a ton of deaf restaurants.
Right.
You're probably going to have a lot of Braille menus.
Yeah.
Just knowing your audience doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean to me.
Right, and you'll see that in California, in the Southwest. Even in most government buildings across the U.S., there is Spanish. You know, the signs are in two languages.
Yeah.
The forms are in two languages.
Yeah.
It's about knowing your audience and making sure that they are able to take advantage of your services. You know, if you're in San Miguel and 20% of the population is not from here and they speak English,
And you want that money.
and you want that money, it would make sense to cater to them to
Correct.
some extent.
Correct.
But I do think the local culture is very aware of the outside presence and doesn't necessarily make it easy for them to change their culture. So while I think there's probably 55 places you could put a Starbucks,
It's a coffee shop.
there's only one in Central, but
Only
there's
one.
like 4 patios.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's really interesting. But I bet you it's a Mexican owner.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they are still looking out for their own and making sure that, you know, there's plenty of examples of, you know, how gentrification comes in and ruins your, you know,
Your
economy
community.
in your community.
Yeah.
So while, you know, there is an effect on the economy with the U.S. dollar that comes down, I don't think it's affecting the culture in the same way that it affects the economy.
They haven't, it doesn't seem like they've bowed to it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this though. Now, if you want to talk about some Americanized, I think maybe the hotel industry, maybe. You think?
I don't know.
got
Expand
that-
on that.
Well, we got the Hilton, we got Hyatt, we have Marriott building, we have the Waldorf Astoria is about to come. That
don't know.
5-star kind of a situation. I don't
I mean,
know.
we already have that with the Rosewood. Are the Hilton and the Hyatt named the Hilton and the Hyatt? Because I know we went to Numu, that was a Hyatt property.
I believe so.
So, like, it's part of the Hyatt family, but it isn't presented in a way that's Hyatt. It's
Right,
presented
it's
in
a
a way that
boutique.
feels high-end Mexican luxury, which you haven't
What?
had a taste of high-end Mexican luxury.
What?
The architecture,
The architecture,
the interior
is
design,
sick.
it's all ridiculous. Like,
It's
extremely
sick.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Um,
gorgeous.
Literally, the hotel that we went to in Numu, and that's in the Mora Mesa de Sol, Marura Mesa de Sal, that restaurant we went to.
Yeah, for my birthday.
Kind of an old video now. It's kind of the old branding.
Yeah.
So I'll put a link to that in the video if you want to see what that hotel and that restaurant looks like. It's all gorgeous. But like that is, you could kind of say westernized to some extent, but it is fully Mexican luxury. It is priced like it's a Western property.
You better say that thing.
Because this is a tourist town. It is a luxury tourist town. You're going to come here and pay some money if you stay somewhere. It's not a cheap place to stay.
That's true.
So that kind of leads me into, I think, the last point, which is that there is a strong expat, I'll say immigrant community here, and that there is plenty of opportunity for you to get into cultural activities and be able to do it within your native language. And I can say that, you know, haven't been a ton of places in Mexico so far, a couple, you know, cities here and there, but the immigrant community here is very welcoming, very engaged, always something going on, always
Yeah.
something to do.
Yeah, there was a brunch today.
There was a brunch today, and
Yeah.
we did not make it again.
Yeah.
It's always so far out. Michelle, have it a little closer inside.
No,
the
this
city.
one was
That's
closer.
me.
I know,
But
but
I
this
know.
one was.
I
But she still finds those good spots.
She does find good spots.
What?
She was out at the golf course. That was,
What?
you know,
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
sure,
it
an
was.
amazing spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's always something to do here. For it to be such a small town, so close-knit.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like it's a big city in that there's always something going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a new restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
There's always some sort of artistic, activity, some sort of cultural activity, a local festival.
Yes.
You should not be wanting for anything to do unless it's just something that's not up your alley.
Right. And that's on a big and a small scale too.
Yeah.
So like today was a Black San Miguel meetup. So I think it's every last Sunday, there's a big brunch for our community. And funny thing is, sometimes folks they'll live in other parts of Mexico, like PV, Puerto Vallarta, or Guadalajara, right? Mexico City or Querétaro. And they're like, oh, we're going to go hang out with Michelle and the gang. And so they'll come in from other parts of Mexico. So that'll be a large event. Sometimes we have a Black History Month event. Next week, we're going to have the Black Music Month event.
Yep.
So that can draw 30, 40, 50 people at one time. But then, of course, within that larger group, we have the smaller subgroups. You know what I mean? So there's a group, smaller subgroup of folks with kids. We have children that live here now. And then, there's the little middle-aged, the little clicky clicks, and then there's the other little clicky click, and then the older clicky clicks, and there are even young people, like the 20-somethings. So that we have like high 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So there are small cliques for everybody.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Outside of the Black groups, there's foodie groups, there's the adventure hounds who go out and go to different restaurants and different events. And there's just always something going on. So I will invite you all to come down and visit and see San Miguel. Mexico Relocation's guide says it's one of the best cities to relocate to. I think we are
number
here.
one.
Number one.
It was voted number one by her audience.
We enjoy it. It's not perfect. But I think if you come here, even just to visit for a vacation, just for a weekend, for a week, everybody comes here and enjoys it. So that's it from us this week. We want to give a little shout out to, the Mexico Relocation guide, as well as our, new hometown of San Miguel.
San Miguel de Allende.
And as always, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, buy some coffee.
Buy coffee.
Oh, lemonade. Sorry. Frappe. It's hot.
If you have not tried, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but the Limonada de Cafe, coffee and lemonade mix, which sounds like, why would you want that?
It sounds wild, but it was actually quite tasty.
Very delicious.
It's so good.
Very delicious. If you don't like coffee, try that out. It's like that lemon flavor and then a little bit of coffee at the end.
It was interesting, but it was really, really good.
It's really nice.
Yeah, drop us a comment too if y'all plan on coming.
Absolutely.
And we'll give you guys some suggestions, and we'd love to help you out.
Yeah.
I'll do more of the helping. Chris will be behind the scenes editing video or something, but I'll hook you up.
But if you're in Mexico and you think that your city is the best, represent in the comments. Tell us why your city is the best. So I'll kind of wrap it up with that. If you guys want to know more about Mexico, I'm going to link a video at the end of this so you can kind of see our experiences in Mexico. A couple hours long, gives you sort of the full story of how we came here, what we went through, all of our experiences. So tune into that as well. And we will see you guys next time.
Cuarente.
Adios, Garce. Take care and take a chance.
Y'all be safe.
This is the 7997 Podcast, your home for raw and honest conversation, featuring Chris and Jackie, with new episodes every Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts.